Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Full match, Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, Women's 2025 Semifinals. Relive the full match of the first women's semifinal of this 2025 edition between Aryna Sabalenka and Iga Swiatek. In a thrilling showdown, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka overcame the 3-time defending champion and 4-time Roland Garros winner in 3 sets, 7-6, 1, 4-6, 6-0 in 2 hours and 19 minutes. Unbeaten on Parisian clay since June 9, 2021, Swiatek saw her extraordinary streak come to an end. It was a landmark victory for Sabalenka, her first over Swiatek at Roland Garros, and one that secured her place in a maiden Roland Garros final. The air inside Arthur Ashe Stadium was thick with anticipation. The crowd, a sea of color and emotion, buzzed with the energy of history in the making. On this warm July evening, under the powerful floodlights and roaring expectations of the 2025 U.S. Open semifinals, 2 titans of the sport emerged from the tunnels. Aryna Sabalenka, the Belarusian firebrand, and Iga Swiatek, the Polish queen of precision. Their rivalry was already the stuff of legend, but tonight it reached a new level. Both women had plowed through the tournament like wrecking balls. Sabalenka, still stinging from her loss to Coco Gauff at the French Open final, played every match like a woman possessed. Her power game was fully unleashed, her serves like cannon fire. Swiatek, on the other hand, had returned to her roots, focused, clinical, serene. With 4 Grand Slam titles already to her name, she was chasing her 5th, and another chance to cement her status among the game's greats. Set 1, the storm ignites, 7-6 Sabalenka. The match kicked off with explosive rallies, right from the first point. Sabalenka, sporting her signature leopard print kit, opened with an ace down the tee. Swiatek countered with silky footwork and a backhand passing shot that drew gasps. Within minutes, the tone was set. This was going to be war. Every game was a duel of contrasting styles. Sabalenka attacked the net relentlessly, muscling forehands and finishing points with venom. Swiatek replied with a calculated rhythm, dragging Aryna into long exchanges and patiently constructing her points. At 4-4, the most thrilling game of the set unfolded. Sabalenka fired 3 straight winners to lead 40-0. But Swiatek clawed back with devastating angles and even brought out a rare drop shot to level. The game extended for over 10 minutes, with both saving break points in a tug-of-war of nerves. Eventually, Aryna held with a screamer down the line, pumping her fist and igniting the crowd. The tiebreak was edge-of-the-seat drama. Sabalenka went up 4-0 with some of her boldest tennis, serves kissing the lines, returns that defied geometry. But Swiatek fought back again, leveling at 5-5 with a sublime forehand winner on the run. At 6-6, Aryna uncorked a blistering 124 miles per hour serve that caught the edge, and followed it with a monstrous backhand to take the set 7-6-6. Set 2, the ice strikes back, 6-3 Swiatek. Down a set but not discouraged, Swiatek made adjustments. She began standing further back on return, giving herself more time to absorb Aryna's pace. She also increased the spin on her forehand, looping higher balls that forced Sabalenka to hit from awkward heights. The change worked like magic. Swiatek broke in the 3rd game after forcing 3 consecutive errors from Sabalenka, who looked momentarily rattled. Her unforced error count began to climb, while Iga grew bolder with each point, controlling the rallies and using her court craft to keep Aryna moving. At 4-2, Swiatek produced one of the most beautiful games of the tournament. With a deceptive drop shot, a perfect lob, and a cross-court backhand winner, she broke again and silenced the crowd. Even Aryna had to smile at the sheer artistry. Serving for the set at 5-3, Iga faced 2 break points but summoned 2 straight aces. Then, with a clinical inside-out forehand, she sealed the set 6-3. Her calm expression barely betraying the storm she'd just weathered. Set 3, the decider, fire meets ice, 7-5 Sabalenka. As the final set began, tension gripped the arena. This was not just a match. It felt like the future of women's tennis battling itself. Sabalenka reined in her aggression slightly, opting for controlled aggression rather than reckless power. Swiatek continued her methodical dismantling, waiting for errors, constructing geometrical masterpieces from the baseline. Game after game, they matched each other. 2-2, 3-3, 4-4. The set became a canvas of stunning contrasts. One rally lasted 34 shots. Swiatek defending like a brick wall, Aryna pounding away. The Belarusian finally broke through with a furious forehand, letting out a primal scream. At 6-5, Sabalenka served for the match. The atmosphere was electric. First point ace. Second point double fault. Third point, a rally ending in a Swiatek winner. 15-30. But Aryna responded with a swinging volley, then drew an error from Iga with a slicing serve wide. Match point. A rally unfolded, 20 shots deep. Swiatek trying to turn the tide, Aryna refusing to let up. Finally, a forehand from Swiatek clipped the net and fell just wide. Game, set, match 7-6-6, 3-6, 7-5 to Aryna Sabalenka. She dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her face. This one wasn't just about reaching the final, it was redemption. For the French Open, for past breakdowns, for everything she'd fought for. Aftermath, 2 champions, 1 epic. Though defeated, Iga Swiatek walked to the net with dignity, sharing a heartfelt hug with Aryna. The crowd rose in a standing ovation, not for the result, but for the battle, the grace, and the brilliance of both women. Sabalenka's emotional post-match interview spoke volumes. Iga brings out the best in me always. Tonight, this was not just a match. It was a story, and we both wrote it together. Swiatek, always poised, praised her opponent. I did everything I could. Aryna played brave, powerful tennis. It hurts, but I'll learn from this. That's what champions do. Legacy of the match. In years to come, fans would speak of this semifinal like a myth. A match that captured the very soul of tennis, power and grace, fire and ice, emotion and intellect. Aryna Sabalenka and Iga Swiatek had not just played tennis, they had elevated it. A storm of power and precision. Sabalenka versus Swiatek, 2025 Wimbledon Women's Semifinal. The center court at Wimbledon was cloaked in tension. July's golden light filtered through the retractable roof as it stood open, letting the summer air dance across the expectant faces of 15,000 spectators. The air was rich with anticipation. Aryna Sabalenka and Iga Swiatek, titans of modern women's tennis, were about to clash in the 2025 Wimbledon semifinal. This was not just another match. It was a duel between force and finesse, raw aggression and disciplined artistry. Sabalenka, the Belarusian powerhouse, had bulldozed her way to the last 4 with overwhelming serves and thunderous ground strokes. Swiatek, the Polish tactician, had glided through the draw, her footwork balletic, her strategy meticulous, each forehand a painter's stroke across the grass canvas. This match promised to be the epic everyone hoped for, and it delivered. Set 1, fire from the first ball. The match kicked off with Aryna Sabalenka serving, unleashing a 123 miles per hour missile down the tee. Swiatek barely got her racket on it. Within minutes, Sabalenka was on the scoreboard, 1-0, first set. But Swiatek wasn't rattled. She responded with a flawless service game, moving Sabalenka around with pinpoint depth, changing pace with drop shots and sudden lobs that danced just inside the lines. 1-1. The early games were a tug-of-war of styles. Sabalenka struck with the fury of a storm. Swiatek answered with the calm defiance of the sea. Winners flew off Aryna's racket like cannonballs, but for every burst of brute strength, Iga answered with a clever angle or a mind-bending rally of patience. At 4-4, the first crack appeared. Sabalenka double faulted at 30-30, and Swiatek capitalized with a brilliant backhand passing shot to break serve. The crowd erupted. Swiatek served out the set with surgical precision, 6-4. Her celebration was a quiet fist pump, eyes already locked on the next set. Set 2, the Sabalenka surge. Sabalenka stormed back like a woman possessed. Her intensity surged. Each roar echoed through the stadium. Her shots began to find lines that defied belief. Swiatek's court coverage, usually enough to smother any attack, began to falter under Aryna's barrage. In the third game, Sabalenka broke to love with 3 winners and an unreturnable serve. She held for 3-1, then broke again with an outrageous 96 miles per hour forehand return winner. The scoreboard flashed, 5-2 Sabalenka. Swiatek tried to wrest back momentum with a brave hold, saving 2 set points with fearless net play. But Sabalenka was undeterred. She sealed the set 6-3 with an ace that kissed the chalk. 1 set all. The Wimbledon crowd was on its feet, sensing something historic. Set 3. Tennis at the edge of human capability. The final set was warfare. Long rallies, dramatic grunts, gasps from the crowd. Swiatek used her backhand slice to disrupt Sabalenka's rhythm, forcing errors and creating openings. Sabalenka, however, was refusing to be outplayed. She shortened points, rushed the net, and flattened out her forehand with devastating timing. At 2-2, a 28-shot rally brought center court to its feet. Swiatek ended it with a running cross-court winner, collapsing to her knees and punching the grass. But Aryna only smiled. She thrived in the chaos. The game stretched long. Both players were sweating, grass sticking to their legs, their faces masks of focus. Every hold was a battle. At 5-5, the pivotal moment came. Swiatek earned a break point with a soft lob that spun away from Sabalenka. On the next point, Aryna netted a routine forehand, a shocking miss at a crucial moment. Swiatek had the break. The crowd roared. So did Sabalenka in frustration. Serving for the match at 6-5, Swiatek was ice. She opened with an ace. Then came a service winner. Then a perfect forehand cross-court that Sabalenka couldn't touch. 3 match points. Sabalenka saved 1 with an impossible backhand return winner. But on the next, Swiatek pulled her wide with a serve, then wrong-footed her with a drop shot. Aryna sprinted, slid, but the ball bounced twice. Game, set, match, Swiatek D. Sabalenka 6-4, 3-6, 7-5. Aftermath, emotions and legacy. Swiatek collapsed onto her back, not with wild celebration, but sheer exhaustion. Sabalenka walked to the net, placed a hand on her heart, and embraced her rival. They knew. They knew they had just been part of a classic, a match that would be replayed, studied, and talked about for years. A match that elevated both of them, win or lose. In the press room, Swiatek was gracious. I have so much respect for Aryna. That was probably the toughest match I've ever played. She pushed me to the edge, physically, emotionally. Sabalenka, though clearly gutted, smiled through the pain. Today was IGA's day. I gave everything. I don't regret a single shot. Beyond the match, a new era for women's tennis. The 2025 Wimbledon semifinal between Swiatek and Sabalenka wasn't just a match. It was a statement. Gone were the days of predictable outcomes. The sport had entered a golden era, led by multifaceted champions like Swiatek, who could adapt to any surface, and fearsome fighters like Sabalenka, whose power was rivaled only by her heart. They had now met 10 times in Grand Slams. Swiatek led 6-4, but every contest felt like a chapter in an ever-evolving epic. Tennis fans everywhere were already dreaming of the next battle, perhaps at the U.S. Open in New York. But for now, Wimbledon belonged to Swiatek. She advanced to her second Wimbledon final, an achievement that had long eluded her on grass. And Sabalenka? She didn't need a trophy to prove anything. Her presence, her relentless energy, her refusal to back down, these had made her unforgettable.